the Premier League. The one everyone associates with entertaining football, superstars and big success. Yes, the English top flight is indeed one of the best leagues in the world, often described as second to none. However, it also has its dark side. It's no secret that the teams in it have huge financial resources. Yes, money gives great power and control, but often it's not used in the right way. So in today's video, we take a look at the most outrageous, dishonourable and even unexplainable transfers of each season in the Premier League over the last 2 decades, from 2003-2004 all the way to 2023-24. 2004-05, Yuri Jarosik. Yes, the start of Roman Abramovich's era as Chelsea owner was memorable, as he spent over 100 million euros in his first summer at the club in 2003. 2004 was another memorable year, with the Blues spending 3 million on one of the most useless defenders in Premier League history, Yuri Jarosik. The Czech made a respectable 14 appearances in his first and only season at Stamford Bridge, enough for him to earn a medal for the Blues' title that year. However, he was nowhere near the level required in the Premier League, and Jose Mourinho decided to get rid of him by sending him out on loan to Birmingham City in the summer. 2005-06, Michael Owen. With club legend Alan Shearer entering the final year of his professional career, Newcastle were desperate to find the perfect replacement. And what better choice than Ballon d'Or winner Michael Owen, who was also available on the cheap after an underwhelming performance at Real Madrid. Well, it's safe to say that things went from bad to worse for the Liverpool legend. He suffered some terrible injuries, including a torn ACL, which resulted in him playing a total of around 4,000 minutes in 4 seasons and scoring just 26 goals. 2006-07, Andrei Shevchenko. It was the perfect example of the right place, wrong time curse. Yes, the Ukrainian was one of the best strikers in the world at the time, having won the Ballon d'Or 2 years earlier. But the timing of his move to Chelsea in 2006 was, to say the least, unfortunate. By then, Didier Drogba had established himself as the Blues' top striker, and Shevchenko's £40 million move was made at Abramovich's request, not Mourinho's. This forced the special one to play him out wide. It was just the wrong decision, as the striker ended his disastrous spell with just 9 goals in 3 years. 2007-08, Owen Hargreaves. Another example of an excellent footballer struggling to make the transition to the Premier League. Hargreaves was thrilled to join a flourishing Man United in 2007, but he never expected his spell at Old Trafford to be that bad. Between 2007 and 2011, he suffered a series of injuries and ended what was arguably the most unhappy period of his life, with 27 appearances for the Red Devils before retiring in 2012. 2008-09, David Bentley. Probably a player few of you will remember, Bentley was a guy with some very good qualities. A winger, Spurs had all the excitement in the world when his move was completed in 2008, but Bentley, who started his career at Arsenal and then had an impressive spell at Blackburn Rovers, struggled in his first season at White Hart Lane. He had the full backing of the management, played almost 2,000 minutes in all competitions, and finished with a miserable 4 goal contributions. 2009-10, Alberto Aquilani. Yes, as crazy as it sounds, but replacing Xabi Alonso with Alberto Aquilani was more outrageous than... Let me think. Replacing Sergio Busquets with Oriol Romeu. And yes, Aquilani failed to live up to the standard of his predecessor. The Italian made just 9 appearances in his only season at Liverpool, and although Aquilani managed 5 assists in 817 minutes, Benitez's departure brought an end to his Anfield career. 2010-11, Bebe. Let's take a look at Sir Alex Ferguson's 27 years at Man United. Best player? Cristiano Ronaldo. Best season? The treble-winning 1998-1999. Worst transfer? Definitely Bebe in 2010. Yes, the Scot is undoubtedly the best manager in the history of English football, but even the greats have had their downfalls. Sir Alex's came in 2010 when he demanded the transfer of Portuguese winger Bebe. Well, the player with the extravagant name played a total of, drums please, 75 minutes in the span of 4 years, between 2010 and 2014, when everyone, including him, finally realised that he was no good. 2011 to 12, Andy Carroll. 2011 was a year of terrible transfers in the Prem. Torres to Chelsea, Park Chu-young to Arsenal, but Andy Carroll's move to Liverpool certainly tops the list. Yes, the former England international was superb in a Newcastle shirt, but failed to replace the aforementioned Torres at Anfield. Well, actually, it was Luis Suarez who eventually replaced the Spanish legend, despite Carroll costing more money than Suarez. Ultimately, the poacher, who was a very capable striker with good ball control and excellent positioning in the box, just didn't work out at Liverpool and ended his spell with the club with 6 goals in 44 appearances. 2012 to 13, Gaston Ramirez. Next up is a player who is best remembered for his time in the star-studded Southampton side of Ricky Lambert, Sadio Mane, Van Dijk, Adam Lallana and others. Gaston Ramirez, however, is nowhere near the calibre of the aforementioned players, with the most glorious moment coming when he was selected for Uruguay at the 2014 World Cup. Despite being one of the team's highest earners on £65,000 a week, Ramirez started an average of 1 game a season in his last 3 years at the club. Pure disaster. Danny Osvaldo, 2013 to 14. Or what about Danny El Loco Osvaldo? Yes, the Italian who decided to call it quits in his career in 2016 so he can pursue a rock star career. That is called an extravagant choice. But when it comes to his time in the Premier League, he may want to forget it as soon as possible. He joined Southampton in 2013 for an estimated fee of £13.6 million. And well, that was easily one of the most stupidly spent £40 million ever. The striker made a total of 13 appearances for the team, scoring just 3 goals before being transferred out to Porto. Mario Balotelli, 2014 to 15. 3 Serie A titles, a Champions League trophy, a Premier League title and an FA Cup. That was Mario Balotelli before he joined Liverpool in 2014. Before the start of the season, Merseyside were once again forced to replace their superstar striker, this time Luis Suarez, who had joined Barcelona a few weeks earlier. Balotelli, then playing for AC Milan, was the man chosen, and oh dear, he was nowhere near his best, scoring 4 goals in 2 years, with the Champions League winner against Ludogorets in 2014 probably the most memorable moment of his dishonourable Liverpool journey. 2015 to 16, Memphis Depay. Much like Balotelli, Memphis was an undoubted talent who just couldn't adapt to English football, or perhaps he arrived too soon, nobody knows. One thing is for sure though, and it's that Depay flopped miserably at Old Trafford. Yes, he enjoyed a great resurgence in his career after Man U, but his 2 years with compatriot Louis van Gaal at the helm were forgettable. 2 Premier League goals in 33 appearances for the 30 million signing. 2016 to 17, Gianelli Mbula. Look, 21.8 million for Stoke City in 2016 was a lot of money, and Gianelli Mbula had every reason in the world to fail, and sadly he did. He couldn't withstand the pressure, and especially after Charlie Adams' comparison with Patrick Vieira, it was just too much for Mbula. He wasn't just a disaster for the Potters, he became a symbol of Stoke's rapid decline into the Championship, making just 26 appearances for the club in total during his 2 years at the Britannia Stadium. 2017 to 18, Alexis Sanchez. Next, we have one of the best players of the last generation in the Premier League, who made the worst decision of the 2018 winter transfer window. He decided to swap Arsenal for Man United, and unlike another player who made the same move a few years earlier, Robin van Persie, Sanchez got it wrong. Technically, Man U didn't pay Arsenal a penny for the Chilean, as he was included in a swap deal with Henrikh Mkhitaryan, but that shouldn't console the Red Devils. They paid Alexis big money and, If we do the maths, Man United had Sanchez over around 1.1 million for every Premier League goal he scored for the club. Yes, that's right. The former Barcelona forward ended his Man U spell with 3 goals in 32 games. 2018-19, Kepa Arrizabalaga. As we discussed in one of our previous videos, Kepa is truly one of the world's most wasted talents. He was a brilliant goalkeeper at Athletic Club, but his big money move to Chelsea seemed to have left him mentally broken. He became the world's most expensive goalie when the Blues splashed out £72 million in 2018. And, to be precise, he did have some positive moments, but overall his spell at Chelsea turned out to be an utter disaster, especially when he was reduced to second choice pick 2 years after the move. 2019-20, Nicolas Pepe. Pepe was bought for exactly the same fee as Kepa a year later, becoming Arsenal's most expensive transfer for the next 4 years. While that might sound a little harsh, as Pepe wasn't terrible throughout his time, let's just say he didn't live up to the high expectations following his superb 2018-19 season with Lille. In fact, Pepe was quite good and even decisive for the Gunners in the other competitions, but his performance in the Premier League was nothing like that. 16 goals in 3 years was simply not enough for a man with his price tag. Morgan Sanson, 2020-21. Yes, Pepe could be described as the least awful Premier League transfer on this list, but we're back on track with the next one. Morgan Sanson. Does anyone remember this guy? Probably not, which is rather embarrassing considering we're talking about a player who played in the Prem last season. Sanson was brought to Aston Villa in the days of former manager Dean Smith. The midfielder had a good reputation at Olympique Marseille, but his time at Villa Park was inexplicably poor, making 19 appearances in 3 years and scoring just 1 goal. 21-22, Romelu Lukaku. The next 2 names we have for you are 2 Chelsea players, the first of which was far worse. Lukaku to Chelsea for £100 million is arguably the worst transfer in not only the Premier League, but the history of the game. Interestingly, it seemed that Chelsea were already terrible at investing before the takeover, as Lukaku was actually the last high-profile transfer of the Roman Abramovich era. Despite still being owned by the Blues, Lukaku hasn't played for them in the last 2 years, and Chelsea will surely be looking to offload him this summer. 2022-23, Joao Felix. Once mentioned alongside Mbappe and Haaland as the 3 superstars who will shape the game for the next 20 years, Felix has completely lost his touch. He just can't break into a top team after falling out with more or less everyone at Atletico Madrid. In the winter of 2023, he arrived at Stamford Bridge on loan as the Blues paid the staggering sum of $10 million for a loan deal. Well, Felix's spell was seemingly doomed to failure after just a few minutes with the team, as he was sent off with a red card on his debut. Ultimately, he ended his Chelsea days with 4 goals in 20 appearances. 2023-24, Mason Mount. Let's finish with another player who has something in common with Chelsea, Mason Mount. The Blues Academy graduate has pulled off one of the most surprising moves in the Premier League in recent years, joining rivals Man United. To be fair, it is perhaps too early to judge the performances of the player who have joined the last 2 transfer windows, as they've only been with their respective teams for a few months. The same can be said for the injury-ravaged Mount, who has failed to impress in 19 appearances for the Red Devils, scoring just 1 goal. And with that being said, we've come to the end of today's video. Can you think of other failures in the Prem in the last 20 years? Share with us down below. Also, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the Blue Card channel, and check out some of our latest uploads. Now, as always, stay awesome and catch you in the next one.